My name is Trey Wainman, and welcome to Rougher TV News, Muskogee High's premier news source. For Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Day, Latavia Johnson has put together a visual presentation in his honor.
I say to you today, my friends, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day, this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day, on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream. I have a dream that one day in Alabama, with this vicious racist, with this governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and little black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prejudiced hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. When we allow freedom to ring, we let it ring from every valley and every hamlet, from every state and every city. We will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Great God Almighty, we are free at last.
Rougher TV News is proud to present Veterans of MHS. We go in depth to find out more about these individuals and their stories.
I am Scott W. Kanny, an E8 or Senior Master Sergeant of the United States Air Force. I will in about 4 days. So yeah, my effective day on the last day that I left my active duty base, which would have been, let's see, I got here August 1st, so it would have been July 29th. It was kind of bittersweet It was bittersweet for the last time driving out the gate and hitting the road to come to Oklahoma. Through phone calls mostly, and some of them met that phone call with excitement, and others did not. I knew that I had family members that had served and retired from the Air Force, so the excitement was there, but the nerves of not really knowing what I was getting into it was a little bit of both. Down at Lackland Air Force Base, it was a mind game for me. I was a little bit older. I didn't come in right out of high school, so I had a little bit of life underneath my belt and had a few jobs here and there in the 5 years after high school before I went in. And it was a really big mind game of how quickly can they break me down, or can they break me down, and then how quickly can I conform to the what they're expecting of me. So I spent two deployments in Iraq, one in Baghdad, and then one in Talil at Ali Air Base. And then I had one deployment to Kuwait, and then one in Afghanistan. One of the probably the best ones that we used in vehicle management was the exhaust sample, where we would send a new airman out with a trash bag, typically on a heavy-duty piece of equipment that had a diesel exhaust and spit out a bunch of black air or black smoke, and we would put them behind the exhaust and rev it up, and they would either get sprayed in the face, or if they were smart enough to open the bag first, then they were able to catch some of that exhaust sample. I think the biggest one is probably going to be what I would say is institutionalization. The longer you spend in the military and perform different things and do different jobs, there's certain life habits that you come into, you roll into, and it's before you even know it. It's not even trying to form a habit; it happens. One of which is, for me, it's making a bed. Getting up in the morning, and one of the first things I do is maybe not the hospital corners that we did in basic training, but I make the bed, and it just becomes a habit. I think the camaraderie is probably the biggest thing that I miss, in being able to have a goal, have a mission that we're all trying to accomplish at the same time, and knowing that you can lean on your brothers and sisters to your left and right to get. My first deployment, we had been on ground for 3 days. We arrived on 8 September, and 3 days later, 11 September, we were actually going out to guard mount for our morning briefing, and we heard a whistle. And I didn't know what it was, but in looking around and hearing what other people were yelling about, I knew it was kind of one of those, you just kind of follow suit, and everybody hit the ground and ducked their head and covered up. But we had been hit with a rocket lobbed from off base, and actually it landed over by the flight line and actually hit two of our gate guards, or shrapnel hit two of our gate guards that were out there. But yeah, that was a welcome to Iraq moment. Directly, no. I saw a lot of the byproducts of combat, direct hand-to-hand and firefights. We had a number of members that they got pretty messed up medically and just mentally sometimes. Great. There were contracted on deployments. We had contracted food, dining facilities, and companies would come in and there was usually 4 meals in a day, and typically that's where most people gain their weight, because they'll go to all 4 meals. For me, I was a gym rat, so I would go to all 4 meals, but I would also spend equal amount of time in the gym, and so every once in a while, they have to cook for masses, so the seasoning and the spices weren't there, but get a good bottle of Texas Pete fixes anything. One of the things that my wife gave me actually right before my first deployment was an Airman's Bible, and I've carried it on every deployment. And then my most recent deployment, my best friend actually gave me a small Bible that he took 1/4-inch steel and engraved an image and a passage on the front of it, and gave that to me. How did people entertain themselves? There was a number of different ways. Gym, going to the gym and putting up weight was one that was most common. There were some gamers, some video games. I had my third deployment to Kuwait. We had 3 in our room, and I had one of my roommates was a World of Warcraft player, and so on his days off he would spend 23 of 24 hours straight playing World of Warcraft. So there was a number of different ways. Some would go running, and then there was also the morale welfare that the base would put on. So every once in a while there'd be movie nights. They'd have a big blow up movie screen that they put up and projector, and they'd find different ways for people to get involved.
For Rougher TV News, I'm Trey Wainman. We are 3 houses, 1 Rougher Nation.